Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to The Smylie Show, and we have a great one for you today coming off the 125th U.S. Open at Oakmont. I'm Charlie Hume, and I am the only person you're going to hear from today that is not a member of the NBC Sports broadcast team. He is, of course, Smylie Kaufman, and we have Kevin Kisner and Dan Hicks joining us in the wake of an incredible finish at Oakmont. And these conversations, Smylie, are presented by our friends at Ahead. Today, we're talking about trust-based relationships. Ahead builds and manages digital platforms that power the most successful organizations in the world. Their consultative approach, unmatched engineering, and innovative solutions combine to accelerate the impact of technology in every client they serve. Ahead's long-standing relationships are built on outcomes and experience with both their clients and technology partners. You can learn more at ahead.com. Smylie, you have incredible relationships with both Kiz and Dan Hicks. So here's where I want to start is just give us a little, we're going to open with Kiz, tease a little excerpt of that interview that you really enjoyed that you want the audience to kind of key in on.
Well, first off, I'm jealous of where he is. You know, I walked out this morning and it was just so humid. The humidity is insane down here in Birmingham, and he's up in the mountains wearing a sweatshirt, drinking a cup of coffee, you know, just getting ready for a nice little golf round in a couple hours. So that's a little excerpt I'm jealous of. But just overall insight, you know, he was, of course, as plugged in as anyone last week, sitting next to Dan Hicks and being on such a, you know, an iconic moment in golf history with JJ Spahn's big putt at 18. So just to get his perspective of, you know, not only that moment, but just what he observed throughout the day and the crazy conditions. I thought he gave great insight. Excuse me.
I'll say I was very jealous myself. I got to spend a few months in Cashers a few years ago, and Mountain Air up there. It's just one of the best places in the state of North Carolina. There are a lot of them that are in this state. So wish Kiz luck on social media. Member, I think is it member this week at Mountaintop, or was it member guest?
I think member guest is what he said.
Okay, well, send Kiz some messages of good luck.
And speaking of Ahead with this, like I know you talk about these trust-based relationships. Seriously, when it comes to these big time events, you really have to have it. There's I know I'm kind of leaning into this a little bit, but seriously, when you're not looking somebody in the eye, I have to have a lot of trust in the fact that they know where I'm going and I know where they're going, and I'm not leading anybody awry, and they're not leading me into a weird place. So it's been a lot of fun working with both of these guys, but especially Kiz. Him and I both have a great rapport as far as just talking golf. And it's been really fun to work with him on the broadcast, and there's no faking, you know, just overall connection with somebody as far as just being able to talk to him. And Kiz and I have a little bit of that. So that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then on Dan, is there any piece of that interview you want to kind of get people ready for?
Well, I mean, Dan's just he's a pro. The pro's pro. You know,
as
he
good
is
as it gets.
You know, it's really fun to watch a talent like himself have moments like that to where you can really see, you know, how good he is at what he does. You know, you have these 72 hole tournaments are a long time to call shots, to send it over to holes, to personalize guys. And, you know, that's a career type of moment. And he's been doing this a long time. He's had some incredible calls. When you think about Tiger Woods making that putt in 08, did you expect anything different? And I think just his insight of how he prepares for big moments like that and calls like that and just letting it come to him just shows how natural and gifted he is as a sports broadcaster. And also he's been a great friend and a great mentor to me, to where I've been able to go to him more and more over the years with things on how to improve. But I tell anybody, I've been lucky and fortunate to be at NBC to where I just get better by osmosis, meaning I just get to listen to really talented people. And it's hard not to get better by just listening to their cadences and how they approach talking on air to the viewers. So I've been super blessed, and Dan was great. Kiz was great. It's going to be a great episode.
Yeah, the three of you have an incredible chemistry, both on and off camera, and I think that those are maybe some of my favorite parts of these conversations. Is just hearing about what goes on in the booth between shots when you're off camera, and on Dan. I mean, just we're going to hear the call in that interview, but just the how about one? I mean, does it get any better in terms of punctuating one of the greatest moments in U.S. Open history? So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. We're going to get started right here with a Kevin Kisner interview. Take a quick break and get to Dan Hicks. Here we go.
All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode of the Smylie Show. We got the kids in the house. Another, I guess, kind of like happy hour. I mean, we do this enough now, kids. We're starting to get used to talking to each other. Now we're just doing it on camera this time. But, man, we just had a pretty epic U.S. Open, man. And just instant reactions, man. Just having a day or two just to kind of digress from what we just witnessed.
Yeah, it was a wild day, dude. I never, during the broadcast in the booth, I could never really put my finger on what was going on or what was about to happen. Like, you were kind of more in the action. We were talking in commercials a little bit. It was just straight carnage, mostly. And then suddenly after the rain delay, it was like JJ Spawn out of nowhere has come back and is just like the only guy that can hit a quality golf shot for the last hour and a half, 2 hours of the U.S. Open. And I thought the two drives he hit on 17 and 18,
so good.
Showed his resolve from the Players' Championship and how he can handle that pressure in that situation. You were watching right there in front of him, and as soon as the ball took off, you're like, and this is striped. And I mean, it's just incredible that under the biggest situation in his life, he probably made his two best swings. I thought it was a really cool way to come back from getting completely hosed early on in the front nine, and I think it all repaid him when Victor Hovland's ball settled 1 foot behind his ball on the 18th green.
I mean, how many times, kids, have you played in a final group or you're in contention or even seen somebody else, but the emotions of what it feels like of showing up on Sunday, ready to go. You feel like you had a great range session, and then you get out there and somehow it's like not coming out the middle. You're getting terrible lies. You're getting terrible breaks. JJ Spawn's breaks at 1, terrible lies in the rough, and then he hits the flag at 2. You've been there. What do you think what was going through JJ Spawn's head through those first 6 holes where he's 5 over through 6, and all of a sudden, all these dreams you have of winning a major championship feel like they just went out the window, and it happened so quick?
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it can happen, and I know there's no way he wasn't thinking, obviously this isn't my day, right? Right. It's so easy for that to creep into your head when those things are happening, and I think the reset is such a huge deal for him. I was telling Dan in one of the commercials, JJ was kind of out of my picture of winning the U.S. Open when the rain delay happened, right? We weren't even hardly showing him anymore. We were coming to you. And, I tell people all the time, I hate re-warming up. I don't know if you did when you played, but I hate, after a rain delay. Or if I practice a lot in the morning and go eat lunch and then I, want to go play, I never can, get the feels again. So maybe JJ kind of found some new feels, and Sam and Scotty did not on the re-warm up. I think the conditions obviously played a huge role in the I call it kind of the second half of the final round. I think guys were hitting squirrely iron shots, trying not to touch the ground with the water, and JJ seemed to manage that the best. But it was a heck of a turnaround, and I thought it was really cool that you got to be in that group to call those last few shots.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the conditions, because every single step that I took walking down these fairways felt like I was walking in a puddle. I mean, the fairways were definitely saturated. And I'm wondering, if this was a PGA Tour event, Kiz, do you think the overall, committee, do you think they would have sent the guys out, or do you think they would have waited for the golf course to be a little bit more playable? I'm just wondering, from your experience of playing on the PGA Tour for years and years, I mean, it was like 80% casual water in all the fairways.
Pretty sure we would have played the ball up on Sunday on the PGA Tour with the conditions already set and the looming forecast. The PGA Tour does a great job of trying to get the tournament in the time allotted. So it sure is a lot easier to go play in those conditions when you don't have to worry about, is this casual water or not? And we have arguments like Sam did in the 15th fairway. We just move the ball until it's in an area that you feel comfortable with by playing it up.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else? He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what the USGA high horse on not playing the ball up is. I know they want to play golf as it is, but is it golf if the best players in the world are sculling sand wedges trying not to touch the ground because it's so saturated, or fatting irons and hitting 5 irons 30 yards left when you know it's the only place you can't hit it? At some point, the conditions are causing that, and it's not in a good way. Like, I don't mind conditions causing bad shots, but when it's something out of your control, like water in the fairways. And, another thing I was talking about, every time I play in those conditions, the ball always goes right off the face.
Yeah.
But all these guys were hitting it left, and I don't know if they were reacting to trying not to hit it right or what, but every shot for the last hour and a half went left.
It's funny. I was talking to JJ Spawn after his second shot at 12. This is, we're still not in the JJ Spawn mode at this point because Sam Burns just made a birdie at 10. And at this point, after he makes birdie at 10, it feels like Sam Burns is probably going to win this golf tournament. It just feels that way after making a big putt at the turn. And then the chaos happens at 11. And then all of a sudden, I'm doing the math. I'm like, JJ Spawn has a chance to win this, and so is Victor. But at the time, JJ hits this huge right ball after taking casual water relief. So it's not like he probably dropped and it still got wet from dropping because he's still dropping in a wet spot. But JJ walks past me and he says, "Side hill Y, wet ball, pretty sweet, huh?" And I was like, yeah, I bet that was pretty tight. JJ doesn't hit it. If he pushes a shot, it's going to go like 10 to 15 yards right. It's not going to go SK right. It's not good. That's how far right it went. And then he gets that amazing break where he gets on top of that mound. But to your point, I saw everything for the most part go left except for that shot.
Yeah. Saw, Sam fatted on 11, Scotty skull it, and then Sam's wedge shot on 12 going. The only place you can't hit the ball on 12 is left of that hole, and he's got a sand wedge in his hand, just puts it in a terrible spot. Actually hit an unbelievable chip, but then missed the putt. And I think that's when he kind of got rattled at that point. 11 happened, and now he thinks he's about to get one back on 12, and he makes 6. And it's like, man, maybe I'm not going to win this tournament.
What's going through your head as a competitor that's anybody other than JJ Spawn, right? So JJ Spawn makes, that 40-footer at 12. He makes a 22-footer at 14. Then he makes a 65-footer at 18. I know those last 4 guys we're talking about with Spawn, Hovland, Adam Scott, Sam Burns. Those are the 4 guys who we thought were going to win the golf tournament heading into the day. When you see all that kind of happening as a player, do you just tip your cap to the guy that just finds a way to get it done? Or are you just like, man, that just seems crazy to me how somebody can make that many feet of putts in 6 holes on the back nine of a U.S. Open?
Yeah, I think you tip your cap and you kind of understand it's his time, right? Like, you know, those things happen to you or I when we're playing, and we like love it and don't think about how lucky we are. We just expect it. But as you're watching from the outside, it's like, dude, you could have a small bucket back there and never make that putt on 18. So it's your time. And, you know, I think, like I said, it's kind of making up for what happened early on in the round. And like a lot of people say, it all works out over time, and it worked out for JJ. You know, he made more feet of putts in the last 6 holes than some people make in a whole tournament. So
exactly,
he definitely deserved it. And I think you tip your cap and realize that, you know, it's his time.
All right, so when he makes that putt at 18, I know you probably maybe seen that putt a time or two during the day. Of course, we just saw Victor make the putt. But what were your percentages as far as what you thought JJ's chances were to just 2-putt? Because I tried to tee it up the best I could. That I thought it was a hard lag putt.
Yeah, you know how we are in the booth. We're like scribbling notes back and forth to each other while we're on the air. And basically Terry Gannon and Fax had put up like 50-50 on 2-putt, right? And then, you know, I'd seen that putt probably 10 times throughout the day. And most guys were getting it within 4 or 5 feet. It wasn't like it was impossible to get to a makeable second. But I kind of we had the same camera angle on everybody's putt. So I could kind of tell when it crested the ridge whether the speed was good or not. Mm-hmm. And so Dan is kind of leading as it's rolling, like, you know, needs a 2-putt to win the U.S. Open. And it crested the hill. And I'm like, oh, man, this is perfect speed. Like, it's not going. It's a 2-putt, right? And I just stick my thumb up right in front of Dan's face like, it's good.
Yeah.
And because I know he's got to make some crazy big moment right there if it does something good. And nobody in that booth was thinking this putt's going in, right? You're not thinking it. No one in America's thinking it. And so I'm like, what is Dan going to say if it goes in as it's rolling and hits the pin? And he goes, how about 1? And I thought that was the coolest call ever. So kudos to Dan for being out. That's why he's so good at what he does. And he filled in perfectly in that spot. I would have been like, what just happened, you know, on air.
Isn't it incredible watching him go after that?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible to see that he can just roll with it and know the situation. And that's why he's such a good guy at that. But, yeah, I would say 50-50 on 3-putt is what we were guessing in the booth.
I wanted to see like the inside cam reaction of all 4 of you guys after the putt went in. I just wanted to see you guys just, you know, stand up and just try to keep your composure knowing that Dan's got this call. But at the same time, you probably just witnessed one of the most, I don't know if there's going to be anything that ever tops it on an 18 green for a long time for a major championship. The one that comes to mind for me is the 2008 on Torrey Pines with Tiger Woods, the putt he had to make. But golly, I mean, where does this stack up for you?
Dude, it's got to be at the top for me. Like, to win the first major, win the U.S. Open, like I don't even know exact footage of the putt, but it had to be over 60 feet. And it went in like a 2-footer, dude. It was like perfect speed, dead middle. I mean, it's just incredible to me that, you know, when you saw it, I saw another angle from the other side of the hole, and I know you were talking it up about how hard the putt was, but it breaks a lot late.
Oh, God, yeah.
And, I mean, it was out there like 6 feet left of the hole at one point, and I'm like, how did he know this is going in? But, I mean, it went in. It would have gone in a thimble. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, Tiger's was incredible, and we see that putt roll how many times, and it's bouncing all over the place and goes in. But, you know, situationally, knowing what JJ was trying to accomplish in his first major championship, I think it's probably top of the list.
Well, I was listening to the conversation that JJ had post-golf tournament, talking a little bit about something that him and Max Homer were talking about that I guess Max learned from Tiger, that said that, hey, dude, U.S. Opens, you basically just try to hang around on the back nine. And even when you think you're out of it, still just hang in there. That goes for probably very few amount of events, kids. Like when you think about winning on the PGA Tour and what you have to do, you can't take a couple holes off and expect to win a golf tournament on the PGA Tour. But when it comes to a U.S. Open and a very difficult golf course like this, how do you go into that with the correct mindset to be able to come out the champion? Because very few are able to win major championships, and it does take a little luck at times, but also just hanging in there sometimes is the best formula for majors.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Astros right now have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make a case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What did Kiz say about Keegan?
All I asked him, I said, I want you to put yourself in Keegan Bradley's shoes, and I want you to tell me what your mindset is as a golfer heading into Ryder Cup selection. Are you more or less nervous about playing well week to week to try to make this team, or do you feel like it's I just go out and play golf, and wherever the sticks chat or the chip stack at the end of this is, we'll make a decision as a team. It seems I couldn't exactly get a feel for it, but Kiz kind of was at the end just basically said that nobody's going to be able to tell him to play on the team. He's going to have to decide for himself.
Yeah, that's been Kiz's response when I've asked him about it, and so this is a TBD, to be determined,
right?
Just to see how well Keegan continues to play. I don't see him backing off. I think he's just in a great spot in his career. I think he thinks it's kind of cool that he's the Ryder Cup captain and is good enough to play with his side, potentially. So I don't think he's going to back off. I think that's going to be really interesting to see if he ends up playing at Bethpage, where he used to sneak on when he played at St. John's as a kid. I mean, that's a great storyline. It's going to be cool as well.
I personally think he's one of the best 12 players over the last 2 seasons. I think he should be on the team. I think if it was any other captain, they would look at his history of how much he's played at Bethpage. He fits the profile of a perfect teammate. He's a great locker room guy. And of course, he's the captain. We know this, but I'm selfish in thinking that because the Ryder Cup is different than the President's Cup in that there's 4 matches in the morning, 4 matches in the afternoon on Friday and Saturday, it's different than the President's Cup where there's 5 matches going out and only 2 guys sit. Really, he could play in the morning both days on Friday and Saturday, sit in the afternoons and captain, and then go play Sunday. It seems like it would make sense that you always have a bunch of guys sitting. Some guys don't even play in a full day.
Yeah, let's not forget that. Let's just say he is a player on the team, and he gets out there, and God forbid he doesn't perform well, and then you're going to hear about everybody say, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's trying to take on all this responsibility." Yeah, he was playing well and probably deserved to be in the top 12, but it's very clear that Keegan Bradley can't. You can't captain and play the same time in this event. I mean, but that's the thing about the Ryder Cup, right? It's the armchair quarterbacks at home that are going to sit there and second guess everything. And, the losing captain of a Ryder Cup it's a tough position. How many times have we seen these guys just get roasted and it's really not their fault? I mean, you can just go on and on and on about pairings and the deep dives and the analytics and stuff. It comes down to those 3 days. How are those guys handling things? And sometimes we get a little bit too much into the numbers and go, well, you should have put so-and-so with so-and-so. It's sports, and they're either going to make it happen and perform or they're not. And some of those younger guys that are coming up are either going to handle the moment or not. So that's what makes the Ryder Cup, though.
Can you imagine the first guy to tee off in the Ryder Cup, a playing captain, Keegan Bradley on the tee?
Oh, man.
I mean, that is exactly what I want to see. But
I would have seen Keegan get in there and do the clubs spinning around and the place is going crazy and just pipe it down the middle for Team USA.
The New York fans just shotgunning beers at 7 a.m. after he tees off. I mean, it's just doing the beer bongs, the whole thing. I mean, that's exactly what this event is going to be. It's going to be chaotic. I'm excited to work it. Going to be walking up. That's not an easy golf course to walk now that I think about it with the hills out there.
So get yourself in shape for that one, Smile. Not that you're
right.
not, but,
that's right.
Get rested up.
That's right. And then a week later, we'll be having a kid. So,
congrats on that. Awesome.
There you go. Well, Danny, a lot of fun this U.S. Open. Happy Father's Day to you. And gosh, we'll all see you next. I guess the Open Championship, where we got plenty of storylines there. Who's your pick on the way out?
Ooh, I have picked literally for the last 2 I picked at the Masters. I picked Shane Lowry. I picked him for Oakmont. I can't go with him again at Portrush. I mean, I could, but that would really be pushing the envelope. It's probably going to be one of these guys trending. I love that golf course, though. I absolutely.
I have not been. I cannot wait.
You're going to love it. It's my favorite in the rotation. Now, St. Andrews is special, the town, the whole thing, and that's off. That's kind of in its one category by itself. But the ruggedness and the feel of Portrush. So you know what? Hell with it. I'll go with Shane Lowry. I think he's going to get it together. I think he's going to.
He's in. The storyline doesn't write itself better than that.
I mean, I wish I could say Rory, but I don't know where he is, and I don't know where he will be by then. I hope he starts playing better and kind of gets everything tied down a little better. But so on the record here, Smiley, this will be played back on one of your podcasts. That Dan Hicks went with Shane Lowry to win at Portrush again. Mic drop.
There it is, folks. There it is. Don't even need to watch the Open. Make sure you turn on your TV. We need the ratings, so just keep it on so you don't mind.
Correct.
All right, Danny.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line. only on SportsGrid.